I still remember very clearly on the day where I was captured. I was preparing, dressed up and all, about to leave my house. So the moment at the doorstep, CID came. They caught me, handcuffed me. My parents have been telling me, don't make the wrong choice.
I was walking away from a very promising, stable career. It seemed like a very poor choice to pursue as a personal trainer, which was perceived to be a very blue-collar job, a very menial job.
I've always been an animal lover. I was already struggling with the dilemma of eating meat and loving animals at the same time. I will say that the zenith of your peak, of your contest prep, when you're on like 1,600 calories or something really low, it gets really hard to find low-calorie, protein-dense source.
In case nobody told you, the real conversation was always behind closed doors. You're in one right now.
I think everyone have to reach to the cliff of the mountain where it's either you fall or you stay. At that point of time, I literally reached to the edge. I had no choice. So that is why I managed to survive till today. Back then, it's the money. So I started off as a real estate agent, making pretty good money. 10 years ago, I'm like in the industry for 3 months and I got my car. Then, once you get slightly easier money, you start to drink. So I was alcoholic back then, going to party like 7 times a week. It's crazy every single night. So that repeated. It comes to a point where, hey, is there any better way that I can make fast money? I have friends or rather acquaintance knowing that I'm doing real estate and they have a master plan. So they got me into the a rental scam where, landlords want to lease their apartment. Back then, there's the one-room, one-hall, L-shaped kind of houses. Yeah. During that time, right, they are desperate for money also. That's why they are renting. The group of friends, they start to convince them. The owner will be like, hey, okay, now you find me tenant, then we're going to lower the rate. After that, they have to pay a lump sum, maybe 6 months lease in order to get this price, secure this price. Then they will find 5 group, 10 group to keep repeating the whole process. So basically, we'll get a cut from it, that kind of thing. During that time, I witnessed homeowners and all taking drugs in the house. I have seen that. Then I was incarcerated for 2 years. Then I came out, still drinking a little bit. Then I met my ex-wife, had a son, driving Grab for a bit. After that, we started a small Thai restaurant. After that, I think for a year, then the, having some chef issue. Then after we closed it down, then back to driving. So that lasted for about a year. And I was so lost. During the last 3 months, I was asking myself, why am I doing this? It's so lost. Every single day, just you wake up, shower, you go down and drive. To the point where you just keep paying the rental and all. Yeah. Then that time I have a newborn. So basically every day is a struggle. I think it's still my fault that during that time I'm still when drinking, So we were in a divorce. I asked myself, what is the thing that I can survive on? Is there any career or job that I can do in order to at least survive? I thought, hey, why not I go into a personal training? Something that I know what to do, something I've been doing till date, even when I was so desperate for money. I went to become a trainer at 3 months in. Then I was topping the sales and all. It was pretty good. On the 3rd month, I was like, hey, why not I come out and be freelance? The in charge of the trainer was saying that, hey, you must be at least 3 to 5 years in the industry, then you can come out as a freelancer. But me being me, as someone that don't really calculate risk, but I'll just go ahead by what I feel is right. I did pretty okay in the freelancing up till now. Back then, I have no tattoo. It's I just have one small one. Then right now, I'm feel with quite a bit of tattoo. Then everyone is oh, back then you must be a gangster. I just want to be me. All this don't decide who am I.
Does the tattoo mean something, a story of your life?
Long story short, I was born Buddhism. I'm not a baptized Christian, someone that go to church. I also don't read Bible, but I have faith. I know that there's someone that is looking after me, and I know that it's Jesus Christ. I pick up from there, so there's my tattoo, you can see Jesus, that kind of thing. I'm not obsessed, but I know that I'm living through faith right now. I have a lot of struggles.
So you believe that someone is looking out for you.
Exactly. All thanks to Him, make me who am I today.
Not many people are open to talk about it. I really appreciate you for that. You went through many things at the same time. Little money, divorce, driving Grab, rebuilding your life and trying to figure out what's right.
I still remember very clearly on the day where I was captured. I was preparing, perfume on, dressed up and all, about to leave my house. So the moment at the doorstep, CID came. They caught me, handcuffed me, brought me to my car, check kind of thing. That's when I started to feel a lot. My dad and mom, or rather my dad, want to so-called disown me, have been telling me, don't make the wrong choice. What you are doing is really wrong. If I were to stop during the time they advised me, probably I won't be where I am today. After the whole episode, I have quite severe depression and anxiety. There was a point where I can't even take plane, economy plane, right? There's like 3 seats, then in between. Literally, there's once coming back from Thailand, the whole plane have to alight because of me. Having claustrophobic, it was really bad. I feel everything was cramping, I can't breathe and all. From then on, I have severe depression, anxiety. Few days, I will feel my whole life is like super dark. I just want to be alone. I don't do anything. I binge eat and all along until today where I found a perfect partner that supported me for the past 5 years. And I found him, God. I found Jesus Christ, supportive family. I don't have friends. I have 0 friends. And back then, I have a lot. At this point of my life, I only need the loved ones. The rest,
They don't matter.
that kind of thing. Only recent year that I think that I'm okay. I'm able to give some allowance to my parents. I'm able to, buy anything or even travel or
NUS Chemical Engineering with honours. In Singapore, that's just not a degree. It is a signal about who you are, especially in this society. What you're worth, what future you're entitled to, and you walk away from it to become a personal trainer. What did the people around you say?
Just to give a bit of background, I studied a bachelor's in chemical engineering at NUS with honors, and it was ranked top 5 in the world for chemical engineering. So I was walking away from a very promising, stable career. In Singapore, with the culture that we have, very focused on academics, we tie a lot of value to career. It seemed like a very poor choice to step away from something so promising to pursue my passion in health and fitness as a personal trainer, which was perceived to be a very blue-collar job, a very menial job. And the reason I pursued it is because I did a 6-month internship at Thermo Fisher Scientific as an engineer. I kept a notebook and I would write all my notes in there, and the first page of it, I have like what you see in the jail cells where they put the tally of how many days I was in, and everyone who opens up my notebook will see that on the first page and they'll be like, "What? Why is this here?" I'd be like, "I felt like I was in jail." But that's how I honestly felt while I was there. And I was just counting down the days until I was done, while other people were looking at what's the top 5 companies in chemical engineering. This is gonna say something about my character, but the reason I chose that company, I looked at which one had a gym. So Thermo Fisher Scientific had a gym right above my lab, and I was like, this is perfect. So I was actually building these things called mass spectrometers, and they analyze substances. So you inject a substance and it will tell you the components of it. And I remember the head engineer was telling me, you can put anything you want in there. Is there anything you want to put in there? I was like, protein powders. No, wait. Every time it was a training day, that was the favorite part of my day. To go there, train, and I would meet a lot of the other staff, like engineers, technicians that would go there. This is just something they do as a hobby. So they would ask me a lot of questions because they saw me as some sort of figure of authority just because of my physique, being a bit more well-built. I loved sharing about how to build muscle, how to get in shape. And at this point, I had been coached by the natural bodybuilding coach who is currently coaching me. And so I had some technical expertise. I also loved to learn about the science of building muscle and losing body fat, or body recomposition in short. Knew a little bit here and there of how to get a better physique. That was the best part of me working there, I felt. So that's where I realized that it is not just a personal passion. I don't just love doing it myself, but I love being that person in other people's lives where I can help them facilitate change in their journey. So I made this choice purely driven out of passion. And I think similar to Admond, I did not consider the risk. I did not feel like I was losing out by walking away from a career in chemical engineering, which I invested 4 years of education into, and obviously money as well. I actually felt like I was moving forward towards a dream career, and I found that to be actually something even more special than pursuing a stable, socially more respected career in chemical engineering. Yeah.
Did anyone say, like, family members, are you sure you want to make this choice?
My father, he works in a place surrounded by engineers, convinced that that is the right path to choose. When I communicated to my family that this is the path that I'm choosing, walking away from chemical engineering, he compiled a file of companies to apply to for engineering, not hearing me out at all. This is not his fault. I feel like this is just something that is so embedded in our society. So this is just him doing what he felt was best for me. Even though at the time I felt, being an angsty early 20-year-old, oh, this person doesn't understand me, I'm just gonna go out and make it on my own. Something that my parents were not supportive of it. When I did foray into the industry, every time I would see them, they would ask, how's work? But not in a concerned way, in a way that's hoping that things are going to go wrong so that they can say, I told you so. I realize as we deal very much with machines, we're building machines, we're testing machines, and I just felt very unfulfilled from that. Being in the industry only cemented my idea that this is the right path for me. I do feel like it is my purpose in life to help people on their health and fitness journey.
Yuan Kai, you don't compete on animal protein. You don't eat meat, you don't eat fish. You build a competitive bodybuilding physique entirely on plants. Have you always been a vegan?
It's going to be 11 years this year. Quite a long time, but definitely not my whole life.
What made you change?
For me, it was purely an ethical issue. I've always been an animal lover. Even when I was a kid, young as 11 maybe, I think I was already struggling a bit with the dilemma of eating meat and loving animals at the same time. So it just came to a point where I was like, I can't really reconcile these things anymore. Just want to be a bit more compassionate, reduce the amount of suffering towards animals, and just
Live and let live. I like that, because how can you love animal but eat them at the same time? Walk me through what your competition prep actually looks like on a plant-based diet. What does a day eating look like at the peak of your prep of the competition? And where are the genuine challenges that most vegan bodybuilders don't talk about publicly?
if you're talking about the peak of the prep, I should just emphasize this is obviously bodybuilding contest prep. It's not a normal everyday situation. So whether you're natural, enhanced, vegan, meat eater, it's already very stringent at this point in time. If you look at, let's say, somebody's lunch, a lot of it is not going to be too different from a normal meal because the carbs are just rice or oats. The usual stuff, you'll have veggies on the side, all that stays the same. It's really only the protein source that you're swapping out for a bodybuilder. I will say that the zenith of your peak, of your contest prep, when you're on like 1,600 calories or something really low like that, it gets really hard to find low calorie protein dense source because your average bodybuilder just eats chicken breast. You can get 50 grams of protein for very low calories, less than 200. Not a lot of people know this, but tofu has about the same fat content as a fatty beef steak. It's healthy fat, but it's still a lot of calories. Same if you are getting your protein from beans, legumes. There's a lot of carbs packed in there along with the protein. What I had to do, at least for a couple of my meals, would be to eat unconventional things. I would make my own mock meats from wheat gluten. It's actually a Japanese thing called seitan. So I did that a couple of times. I would eat this thing called textured vegetable protein. You might have seen it when you've had biryani and they put these little soy spongy balls inside.
Soya chunk.
Soya chunks, yeah, soya chunks. Technical term for that is TVP. I had to do that a couple of times. Sometimes you just have to take protein shakes to hit your daily target because you just don't have the calories to spare at that point. And that was rough.
Admond, natural bodybuilding needs a separate federation and drug testing to prove the athletes are clean. But bodybuilding with drug use does not need to explain itself so much. So you have been running WNBF for years. Why do you think the clean version is the one that has to prove itself? And what has been your experience like?
Being natural, we are talking about not using any substances. We know that using substances are harmful. There are individuals that want to be a bodybuilder. They are taught that in order to be that, you have to take something to look that huge or to look that shredded. Natural bodybuilding coming into the scene, especially WNBF, since started, it has been about 36, 37 years now, right? So more people are understanding that, hey, this is a sport. And rather you can achieve a certain look naturally. That is why 3 years ago, I decided that, hey, I have been in the scene for a while, not competitive, but have been going to the gym and all. What is that gap between me and being a bodybuilder? By training for years, I took that and started to educate on how natural bodybuilding works, what are the protocols that goes on towards their show to step on the stage. And slowly, I think, for the past 3 years, including this year, a lot of people are exposed to it. Okay. So it makes this sport a much easier to adapt because now that more people are talking about it, more people are competing, and so naturally it allows more athletes to come on board.
How long do you have to prep for bodybuilding?
Well, it really depends who you ask.
Depends on the starting point. So for me, I've done 3 preps and they were 33 weeks, 37 weeks, and 41 weeks each one. Yuan Kai had a much better starting point because he doesn't get so out of shape.
I mean, but still for me, it was 4 to 5 months. But it's also not like that for the whole 4 months, right? When you start off, you're a bit healthier, your metabolism is a bit higher, you have a bit more calories to work with. It only gets that way towards the end when you're really just, trying to peel off every bit of fat.
I thought there isn't such thing until I knew one of my intern who bring his scale everywhere each time he had to have his meal. And I thought it's just him. So it's also both of you. Or the 3 of you.
I think there's phases to it. Like you come to a point where when you're very new to the sport, you are very invested into every single gram. And right, once you become very seasoned, like Firdauz, he's been doing that for so long. So there are going to be a lot of days where he don't do that. He's just eyeballing it. It's not a bad thing, especially when you're very new to the sport. You want to invest all the time to make yourself grow that habit first. It's just like during off season, you're still going to be disciplined, still going to be dedicated. Then the on season, during prep, it's going to be much more smooth sailing. As compared to, wow, you screw up your off season, then you go to on season, you're gonna be struggling. That's a very good practice.
So you have weighing scale in your bags now?
Probably yes.
I usually weigh my food at home.
Oh, okay. What about you, Firdauz?
Similar to Yuan Kai, I have a habit of preparing all my food at home. We probably both do the same thing. I definitely weigh it because I'm in a contest prep. Although we prepare at home, it's not like how the typical person would prepare it, I think. Everything is measured, everything is weighed to the gram so that we can be very precise with our food intake.
What about you? Do you have a weighing scale?
Yeah, I do. Later, I'm going for training, then I need something for my pre-workout. So I still track my macros. When you come to contest prep, you want to try to be more precise so that you can manage all the variables. Someday you're going to gain some weight, someday you're going to lose some weight. It's because you're on a deeper deficit because you have no appetite. Then on days when it spike up because you are eating out and you assume that what you're eating is like within calories, the tracker is not going to be 100% accurate.
You mentioned that you were morbidly obese back then as a kid. You were picked last all the time. You failed at PE. 8 years later, you win the overall title at the natural bodybuilding competition. What did you have to believe about yourself at the start that turned out to be wrong? And when did that belief actually break?
I suppose when I was a lot younger and I was struggling a lot with my weight. Growing up, before I had even begun exercising, I was around, at my heaviest, about 85-ish kilos with no muscle, no training whatsoever. And I was very much a bookworm, so I was very into academics, something conditioned from my parents, I think. And there's a part of me also that wants to be the best at everything that I do. So I still try to excel, and I'm intrinsically motivated to do that. I kind of let myself go, not really understanding also how to get in good shape. So I was just eating to soothe emotions, eating for lots of other reasons, and not really understanding how to eat properly. By the time I was 17 years old, as a Singaporean, you need to go for national service. And I had heard a lot of horror stories about how physically intensive it is. The reason I started getting into any form of physical activity is because my mom was worried that I would be one of those people she reads in the news about how they die in national service because they physically exerted themselves and weren't ready for it. And to be honest, I was so out of shape that that could have been a reality. So she got my uncle, who was a personal trainer at the time, to get me more fit. And he brought me to the stadium to run around the stadium. And basically, there's a standard fitness test that you do. And he took me through all those stations just repeatedly. And it was not a bad thing because, like I said, I always want to be the best at whatever I do. So when I was put through that regimen, I took it seriously. And one day after 6 months or so, he brings me into the gym. And back then, the public gyms were called Club Fit Gym. Now they're called Active SG Gym. Hougang Club Fit Gym, where people used the rust on the bars as chalk to make their grip more solid. That's how grungy and grimy that gym was, but I loved it. So my uncle brought me to the gym, and the first exercise he put me on was the barbell bench press. And I remember from the moment I touched that barbell, which, by the way, the empty barbell weighs 20 kilos. I was pressing it all sorts of different ways. I was awful at it, but I loved it. I remember at that point, I started asking my uncle, when are we going to the gym again? When are we going to the gym again? And my uncle, he's, I would say that we're a product of the people who kind of motivated us, inspired us, and helped us along the journey. So my uncle, what he instilled in me was work ethic. So he used to test my mindset where he would say, okay, if you want to train with me, come to my house at 6 a.m. And I was on vacation at the time. When I was training with my uncle, this was after national service, waiting for university to start. I had quite a long break and I wanted to train. And it was my holiday, so, people on holiday do they, I don't know, sleep in, I suppose, take that opportunity to rest. But he was getting me to go to his place at 6 a.m, going to the gym, training, eating on a strict regimen. And at that time, it was to gain muscle mass. So I was eating a lot. And all this was very new to me, my family. So they saw me eating like it was my job. And it was really eye-opening to them, and they were wondering, is this safe, and all sorts of concerns. But I remember that this is just something that I really enjoyed. And I think there's a bit of an identity shift at this point, where prior to this, I had always done things because I want to be the best and I'm driven to excel. But I never really found something that I truly loved and enjoyed. And this is the first time that I felt super excited to do this. Just, it is something that I enjoy in a very genuine and authentic way. And I still thank my uncle to this day for introducing me to something that is my passion. And in fact, at that point, it was really hard to keep me out of the gym because I was just dying to go to the gym every opportunity that I could. It was my opportunity to vent stress, feel good with the endorphin rush, feel fulfilled that I am doing something that I genuinely look forward to. And I've been lifting now since 2010, December, so that would make it 16 years, and it's still one of my most favorite part of the day.
Admond, a lot of people say that women build muscle much slower. Is that true?
If you look at the hormone, testosterone and estrogen, definitely female have way higher estrogen as compared to the guy. You can't compare a female to a male in terms of like arm size, chest size. The growth will be different. It's going to be subjective. What is your huge and what is your muscular? It's possible for both to be the same, but in terms of the year training and the time invested and all, it's gonna be like you're gonna weigh that also, and genetic.
If a woman lifts heavy consistently, she'll end up looking muscular, very masculine and bulky. Is that true?
I think this is a very common concern for women. They worry that they're going to end up looking very manly, masculine, and muscular. I think because they see a lot of female bodybuilders who are on steroids. That's because they have the performance-enhancing drugs. If you take someone who's natural, meaning not taking any steroids, when they try and lift, they try their very best. Someone who's very passionate, they lift very consistently, very hard. They're still not going to build muscle and look like a man because of the fact that their starting point is much less muscle. That's just biology, where women generally have a much lower amount of muscle to start with than men. Maybe to answer your question that you asked, Admond, do women and men grow muscle at the same rate? The answer is yes, but the reason why women generally don't look so muscular like men is because the starting point is a lot lower. Because their starting point is a lot lower, by the time they get to, year 10 of training, they still don't look muscular and manly.
Yuan Kai, intermittent fasting and serious muscle building cannot coexist. You will always be in a catabolic state if you fast while trying to build muscle. Is that true?
It's not so black and white. You can definitely build muscle when you're intermittent fasting. I'm assuming you're talking about someone who, is trying to put on muscle, gain weight, and eat enough. It's a bit of an odd combination because intermittent fasting is usually done to help people lose weight or for health reasons. You're someone who has a small appetite, you're naturally skinny, you struggle to eat enough throughout the day, and you compress all your meals into like a 6 or 8 hour window. It might be hard to eat enough. It can be done though, it can be done. But on the other side of things, if you're a bodybuilder who's trying to lose weight and still maintain your muscle, intermittent fasting can also be a tool. It helps to manage your hunger. When you're trying to, on a cutting phase, trying to recomp, it can actually help with those feelings of hunger as well.
Natural bodybuilding is a young person sport. Past 35 to 40, the body can't get there. Is that true?
It depends on context. Actually, you have athletes that is as old as 70. There's a fair amount of athletes that is above 40 including myself, 40. It really depends on, do you want to be like someone who is a world champion, multi-title champion, which is quite impossible. They have the genetic, they have been doing it for so long. But at the end of the day, you are going to look your best between that age group. And if you were to compare yourself in that age with someone of your same age, you're going to win. I recently have a call with a school. All the educator and the parents are like in their 50s. They pop up a question, am I too late for this? I say, you will be too late if you don't do anything now. This time, when you step on stage, you're going to resemble yourself in the best version. And on top of that, you are in the education industry. Everyone is going to look at you like at your 50s, you still can get this kind of physique. And there's so much to look back. You're still achieving six-pack, looking good. And I think that is good enough. Don't compare yourself with another person. You're not justified by your age. Some people can succeed at 25, some people can succeed at 30. I'm in my 40s now. I'm feeling as good as I'm in 25.
Cool. So, Admond, Firdauz, Yuan Kai, thank you for coming today. Most podcasts cover people who have succeeded. Today was very different. Like Admond, you have no credentials, no capital, no clean record, but you built an institution anyway. Kudos to you, Admond. Really admire you for that. Firdauz, you had a degree where Singapore told you that was the answer, that is it. But you choose the different industry and you are still passionate about it. So yes, continue doing what you're doing. Yuan Kai, you work in a clinical system day by day and competes on plants by choice, not because it's easier, but because the evidence told you that it was right and you had a conviction to live by it. So continue doing what you are doing, and thank you so much, guys. I'm Dimad and this is Unfiltered Room.
Where I became professional, but none of that would have happened if my coach hadn't managed to persuade
Sorry, what happened? Is it the SD card?
No, it was full still.
Is it battery?
Oh, just reset.
Is it still warm?
Yes. He'd get like lava. Especially a hot ass room. Yeah.
30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,